So let's move back onto the coaching phenomenon in the NBA this time of year, as I call it, coaching musical chairs. Luke Walton just signed to coach the Los Angeles Lakers. He is now the youngest professional coach in all of North American sports, born in 1980. What did you think of the pickup?
I thought it was kind of a long time coming. I was reporting on this earlier in the week when they gave the rights, when Golden State gave the rights for him to speak to them. I thought this would have waited till after the playoffs. I'm not sure if this can be seen as a distraction.
Well, just to stop you there, they did the same thing with Alvin Gentry last year. They let him talk to teams during the playoffs, so it's what they've done before.
But they didn't count on Alvin Gentry, to coach the team half the year.
Yeah.
I mean, Luke Walton, actually, if you look at his win-loss records, actually did better than Steve Kerr as a head coach to start the year. I mean, that doesn't really mean he's a better coach. I mean, he's lucked into a great situation. I will say I'm not surprised he's landing with the Lakers. He played for them. He has a lot of ties to the organization. I'm a bit surprised that the Knicks weren't more in that fray, that it was such a done deal as soon as he was allowed. Maybe they just see it's a poison pill up there in New York. It's a job that people will take, but it's maybe not as glamorous. I think actually what the turning point was, in my eyes, was kind of like how Brad Stevens was given the job in Boston with a bunch of young players and a 6-year contract, like years to develop.
Yeah.
So he wasn't pressured to win right away, and he could grow as an NBA coach. So like something like Billy Donovan in OKC is not having the luxury of doing. Some of his stars might just run away after this year. He's having to win right now. But when you look at Luke Walton, he's going to walk in a situation, D'Angelo Russell, Jordan Clarkson, if they re-sign him, Julius Randle, I think, is fantastic. And assuming they don't have to give it away to the 76ers, their top pick this year. Because if it goes top 2 or 3, they keep it. Other than that, it goes to Sixers. So this is a team that he can grow with. There'll be no expectations. Even though it's in LA, I think there's an understanding that there's going to be a process. There's still, Mitch Kupchak is still there. But, that whole ownership with the Buss family is still kind of weird, to say the least, and they're still waiting to see what happens with a lot of the roster because of the fallout of the D'Angelo Russell incident. So I think this is kind of an ideal situation. He likes being in LA. He's not one of those guys that shies away from the limelight. I think it's going to be a good situation. Doesn't need to win for a couple of years. They just need to surround him with some good talent. But I think it's going to be interesting. I think he's a smart guy, but it doesn't always translate into a coach. And I'm kind of interested to see how it plays out, because I think he had a lot of plays to go by when he was coach for the first half of the year with Golden State. So I'm really interested to see what he does with his own team.
What fascinates me is that apparently he had the 6-hour interview and they didn't talk to any other coaches. I was expecting the Spurs assistant coach Messina to be, in the mix there, and also someone like Jeff Van Gundy. And I'm very interested that they're going youth. And I think it speaks to the fact that they, like you said, they have a very youthful team, and they're hoping that Ian Away can connect with the team. He's also already has a home in Los Angeles, by the way. So I think in that way it's a very good fit. But I disagree. I think in a way, coaching in Los Angeles for the Lakers, which is, you would call maybe the most prestigious franchise in the league, that there's a lot of pressure to that. Byron Scott's been under the gun for the last 2-3 years. I think they're going to have more expectations than we think. And especially if they do get this number 1, number 2 pick, there's going to be expectations of being a playoff team in 2-3 years. So I think it's a little bit more than what Brad Stevens had to deal with. And also the fact that he, in a way, helped really carry this Golden State team. I think they're going to expect this team to be at least a 500 team this year. And that's going to be a lot on his shoulders, first year coaching on his own.
Well, look, I think as a casual fan, especially then they're in LA or any city, you want your team to be competitive. I think anyone who follows the NBA looks at the rosters, especially in the Western Conference, and looks at teams like, your Utahs, Minnesota, Sacramento's, who are far more advanced. Who knows if Boogie Cousins gets traded, but the realistic aspect of them being competitive, even in the next 1-2 years, is almost zero. I mean, even if they land the number 1 pick and get Simmons or Ingram, they're still years away. I mean, their main players are 20, 21. Like that's they're not ready. I mean, even if they bring in all the veterans in the world, it's the same situation as Minnesota. I don't think as good of a core, obviously, but your best players have to be ready. It doesn't matter your veterans. So I think that people who understand the game understand that they're building that core and they're building him with that whole situation. I think it's a great situation. I think it's a little bit different than Byron Scott. I think Byron Scott was brought in specifically because Kobe was there, and with Kobe, there was that emphasis on winning right away because we wanted to win towards the tail end of his career. But now, with no player like that, I think while you will have fans like in every city who won't give you any patience to rebuild, I think there's going to be more of a learning curve, because I think any intelligent fan who's done their research will know that they're laying the proper foundation this way.
Yeah, I think the key word there is patience. He's a good coach. He's got a high basketball IQ, and I think he's going to bring in a really good culture to this team that they really, really need.